Me and my brother have been going ham on Super Soccer.
Yeah.
Like, fucking ham on like we've been like he like texts me for a minute. Like when we first started syncing up on Switch Online, he was like texting me every night, like Super Soccer. I was like, right, I'm not like down to play every night, man. I'm like doing stuff sometimes. But like he's down. The cool thing is like he's down to literally just play like one game, like no chat.
Hey,
like, hey, let's
nice.
just play one game real quick. He's not like, hey, let's play for an hour. Like, it's not like a huge commitment. At first, I thought he was like trying to like sync up and Zoom call every time. I'm like, hey, man, I'm like doing stuff.
Yeah.
But if you want to just play a game or a best of 3 real quick, I'm down.
That's a lot more manageable. Yeah.
But dude, Super Soccer, we're like him and I are very competitive in that game.
Okay.
So it's like, and that was a childhood game for us growing up. Like our whole family, like legit when we had family get-togethers, like me, my dad, my cousin Brandon, I think my brother was a little too young at the time, but like a few of my other uncles, a couple of my other cousins too, like we would have Super Soccer tournaments.
That's
like,
awesome.
At the get-together, it was like, hey, Charlie, it's your turn. Like,
is that a multi-tap game? Could you play that 4-player?
No, it's just two players. But I think you could do like a tournament where you would set up the teams and like it actually would like move along the brackets.
Oh,
like,
that's sweet.
within the game. It wasn't like we were just doing it on paper. I'm pretty sure you could do it in the game. So
that's sweet.
So for that matter, I guess you could maybe I was gonna say you could maybe do that online with multiple people, but you'd still have to only be online with just 2 people.
Right. The session would only be 2 systems.
Yeah. Although, what if they add N64 games and then add the ability to party up with 4 people?
Oh, let's fucking go.
That would blow my mind. Nintendo would make up for all the like bullshit they do when they put like, rights claims on other people's stuff.
It would be a start.
Or I guess on their own stuff.
Yeah.
But still. Yeah. All right.
Fuck Nintendo. Let's do a podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nollery.
Howdy, howdy.
And DJ Mandolini.
Yo.
And we're short string once again tonight. We're missing John. Well, he's busy with work, but we'll make do without him. And we are back to talk some video games, as always.
Yes.
And some new video games, not necessarily as always, but I always make that comment, but we do it a little more frequently than I give us credit for.
We try to be relevant.
Yeah, thanks to Game Pass a lot of times, but every now and then we're picking up games. Like John's talking new game. We're always talking new stuff.
That's right.
Just not necessarily the day it comes out.
Give us more credit, Kevin.
Yeah.
Give me more credit.
Seriously.
Yeah, give DJ more credit.
Well, anyways, one of the games that you and I have been digging into this week, Randall, was the recently released Cyber Shadow,
Heck
which
yeah.
I think popped on everyone's radar. I think they dropped it, like the trailer for it during like one of those Indie World showcases or Nintendo Indie things, and it's like the next release from Yacht Club Games, although it's not developed by them. It's developed by, I think,
Mechanical Head Studios.
Mechanical Head, that's right, yeah. And yeah, it's like a very, we've talked about on the podcast before, The Messenger, which is kind of like a Ninja Gaiden inspired retro throwback and kind of just retro inspired throwback in general.
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of the same, although I would say it maybe even is a little truer to the Ninja Gaiden experience.
I didn't play
recollection.
I haven't played The Messenger yet. I really should have, but I haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, I think I would agree with that from what I've seen from clips of both games and now playing a lot of Cyber Shadow. It's very much a retro NES-inspired thing. Yeah,
and I think it's in widescreen and everything, but I think for the most part, they are going for like true 8-bit aesthetics. It's very, very much. And I know The Messenger did true 8-bit and true 16-bit, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, this game, I guess I just mean like, and you've gotten much further than me in Cyber Shadow, and I'll probably let you take the lead on this, sure. Randall. I've gotten probably through the first 3 chapters or 3 levels.
Yeah.
And, I guess I don't know how much we'll go into spoilers, but just being that this is a new game, just slight warning, although we're usually pretty, especially Randall's pretty, we dance around the spoilers.
I try to, yeah.
Yeah. But I would say in the first 3 levels or so that I've played, it's the reason I kind of think Ninja Gaiden is because almost all the enemies are like one hit kill. It's like one swipe. and they're just like, you just wipe them out. So it's kind of like you're just running. It's more like about the timing and like the quick turnarounds and like, oh, this enemy's coming up on me from behind. There are a few like bulkier enemies that you do have to swipe a couple times with your sword, but it's like, at least at first, it is kind of like, it just felt more like Ninja Gaiden to me. And I guess the Messenger is kind of like that too, but like, I don't know. I just felt like I really was just like running to the right, and like it was really reflexive. I was getting really into it. Although at first, my initial impression was just like, it's a little simplistic. Like maybe they're going too true to like the NES like style. Maybe they're not going to add enough, you know, quality of life type stuff, or we'll see. You know, we'll see how. But as the game has gone on, again, I'm not too far. I'm thinking to the end of chapter 3. I'm getting my ass kicked, I gotta say. Like I was gonna try to beat at least that chapter today, and I was just like, man, I'm just not in the right frame of mind. I played for like 30 minutes and just kept dying on the same fucking part. But yeah, I really like how the game is put together so far. Like it kind of has like one of those like Castlevania style maps where you see like the kind of overworld, and like you get to these save points so you can warp between and kind of start from those levels. And like the way it's all connected together, but the way you can backtrack, it's like you kind of like, well, once you like do the platforming challenge, you can kind of like, okay, now I like triggered this thing that I can easily get back up there when I get back to this section. I just need like a new ability or whatever. But I've been really impressed with like, now that I've unlocked a couple of new abilities and have some, you can clearly see there's about 5 or 6 more that I'm going to unlock. Like I'm just like, okay, this game is going to have some. And again, I feel like I was kind of like comparing this, saying this is so much better than the Messenger, because the Messenger has a ton of cool stuff too, and I didn't even get to the 16-bit stuff, but you have a ton of like mobility upgrades and stuff. But I kind of like how this seems to be like a little bit more on a track, I guess, a little bit more than the Messenger, where it's like a little more open world, a little more like buying upgrades and stuff, where there is some purchasing of things in this, but
a little bit.
The way it's structured is a little different, and I really like that. But why don't you share some of your thoughts on this, Randall?
Yeah. So I would agree with you. You had mentioned that like you felt it started a little bit slow, and you know, it didn't quite open up at first, and I would agree with that. I don't know that this game, Cyber Shadow, gives the best first impression necessarily in that first level, but man, I stuck with it just because like I'm such a huge 8-bit NES guy, and the aesthetic of it, like you can tell the people that made this have a true love for NES games. Like they just soaked it up and like just made that this game, but like you said, in widescreen. And by level 2, 3, you know, maybe 4, I was like, oh, I love this. Like I am into this game. And even though it's very difficult, very difficult. Like, you have to know that you're kind of beating your head against the wall sometimes. And like to me, what shows that this is a well-made game is that never was a problem that I was dying over and over again, because the controls are so tight and crisp.
They are so tight.
They're so tight. They feel like NES game tight to me.
Yeah, and I it's funny because I did like a quick video of the first like 45 minutes on a stream or so. I can't remember if I streamed it or not, but like I even mentioned like, because I can't remember if it's Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 3, but one of those, like, you can't, like, turn around and shoot quite as quickly. Mega Man 3, like, you can't, like, do the immediate turn around and shoot. But in Cyber Shadow, like, if there's an enemy behind you and you're running, like, progressing to the right and an enemy, you can wait till, like, the last fucking split second and, like, pretty much, like, turn and hit the slash at the same exact time. And, like, it feels so satisfying to, like, mid-air, like, just change your direction and like kill the enemies in front of you and behind you, because you can swipe somewhat quickly and you actually get some like upgrades for your sword, like you know, almost like Castlevania style, where you get like you have like one slot. It seems maybe you get more as the game goes on, but it seems like from what I've experienced, I've gotten either like a slight extension to my slash where it's almost like a little like, you know, it's not shooting out a projectile, but it just my blade extends, like it has like a little like wave that extends a little further. Or I've gotten like this kind of like blade that like spins around my character almost like on a chain, and it's so sweet because you can slash that with your sword and like start like almost like clearing a path in front of you, but it's like a boomerang.
That guy is almost
comes back to you
like a Castlevania 4 type of feel to the physics of it. Like you're kind of just throwing that thing around and like hitting stuff in your radius. Like
but you can like, you know what I'm talking about, where you can like slash it with your sword and like it picks up extra momentum, and like you can, if you're close enough to an enemy, it'll like go through them, hit them on the way, and then hit them on the way back as it comes back to you. But like, you can hit it on an angle and it'll start just spinning around you. Yeah, it's really, really cool. And once I started seeing more of those upgrades and like got that like second kind of like uppercut flame ability, was the last thing I unlocked. And again, I think I'm getting pretty close to the end of chapter 3, but like you said, I started getting my ass kicked, like to the point where like, you know, the checkpoints are like, they're very well placed.
Yes.
Like when I hit one, like you get to the point where like you're dying and you're like, once you hit the checkpoint, you're like, I was right there. Like, man. But it's like
very often.
But they're not so far apart where it's like frustrating, where you're just like, fuck, I got to play that half hour again. It's more like, okay, I just got to get that little thing down, or, I got to remember that lightning bolt. Like a small bit of memorization.
A small bit.
I still feel like the reflexes, because the controls are so tight, you can go through it and it feels fluid. It doesn't feel like you're just going through the motions.
Exactly. Like the game is so fun to play and the controls are so tight. If you're used to playing any type of retro NES experience, this won't be foreign to you to have to like kind of quasi memorize a level to get the most fun out of it. And that's, like between checkpoints and given sections, that's basically what you're doing. You know, every once in a while I'd get to, you know, a checkpoint the first time, but boy, it didn't happen that often. But
almost never.
It really, because it's hard. It is punishing. But like when you're in the zone with this game, it feels so good. And like I itch for that experience. And to the point where like I got to chapter 7. I'm still not done. At one point I'm like, man, am I going to beat this game? And then it gets more and more difficult. I'll say that.
I know this is a vague question, but like what makes this game so difficult?
The placement of enemies is very well done in a sinister way, I'll say, in an NES way.
That was exactly what I was going to say. It's just like the placement of enemies and like their patterns of attack and like...
It's very clever, but not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost like, I mean, it's not to the point where it's like a puzzle platformer, but it is kind of like you can like solve things in a way like... Not solve them, but they're enemies that kind of chain off each other. Or for example, they'll be like lightning bolts that kind of come down, but they'll kill enemies that are in their path, like almost so like cool. A roguelike game will. Yeah. And then but like there were these other enemies that are almost like these moving like lanterns that are either moving like, they're not lanterns, they're very like Mega Man style enemies that move like either on a vertical plane or a horizontal plane, and they will line up with exactly where your character is or try to. Mm-hmm. You can outrun them or outmaneuver them. But then they're later and further on in the level, there's like these flame cannons that are shooting, and if they hit, that's why I called them lanterns, because they like will hold that fireball within them or whatever, and then once they're lined up with you, they'll shoot that at you. So it's like, oh, okay, now this enemy that was just like an obstacle before is now like an enemy that is shooting at me. Yep. You know, it's
once
just
it
like
sees you.
Yeah, we're like, so now you're like, okay, maybe I want to take that cannon out so that now this thing's just an enemy I have to avoid, not, you know, I don't know. It's just really cool how it's structured and how the levels are laid out. You know, there is a little bit of that. Like the only time I get frustrated, and it's still, I mean, it's just that retro frustration, but it's like the knockback, like when I'm jumping over a pit and I get hit by an enemy and I get knocked into the lava or into the, you know, water or into a pit.
And your invincibility frames are not very long lasting. You can get hit a few times in a hurry.
Damn.
Yeah. But one thing that's really cool, like we've mentioned the checkpoints a few times and like how well they're placed, but like you can upgrade those checkpoints with like your currency over time.
Yes.
And like to the point where like, okay, now every time I get to this checkpoint, it's going to upgrade or refill my health all the way. And now it's going to refill my points. Special. Yeah. Exactly. And then you can even upgrade it to like where it'll drop an item or something.
Yep.
And then another cool thing is they actually, again, there is like a small element of exploration, you know, light Metroidvania action going on. But like when you get to these checkpoints, they actually like have an arrow pointing in the direction that you need to be traveling as far as like progressing through the level.
That.
Like
that's true.
there'll always be like an arrow pointing to the right, up or down, and it's just always like, okay, this is the main path. Like if I want to keep making progress through the main campaign, this is the way to go. So it's kind of cool in that regard. Like it just like it really streamlines that open world experience in more ways than one, because again, you are picking like levels on a map and you can teleport between the chapter start points once you make it to them, I guess. So
and as you get more abilities, that becomes like even more interesting to go back to old levels. I'll say that much. And
there's definitely been some spots where I've been like, I know I'm going to be able to get over there eventually.
Yep.
So I like, have you unlocked all the abilities?
I have,
Randall.
I'm pretty sure that I have, because that pause screen that shows you, where all the item, and abilities things are, those are all filled for me. So I'm pretty sure I was going to say,
there's clearly like designated slots.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but as soon as I got like we were saying, like it does start off like a little bit like, okay, is this really going to be like just a true NES game that's just really simple and like action platformer with cool, slightly modernized effects and stuff? But like, no, this game opens up and I'm excited to play some more, get a little further, hopefully, if I can get further than
I'm going to try to beat this game, but man, boy, it's getting like harder and harder, but I'm still really into it. And I'm not typically someone that plays a lot of like really hard games.
I was going to ask that because when I was playing today and I kind of, again, I didn't necessarily like give up on the game, but just kind of in the mode I was in at that moment, I was just kind of like, okay, I got a few more checkpoints, but like I'm not in the mindset where like I'm gonna beat this level necessarily right now. But like I was thinking like I wonder what it is about like this game that like that's got Randall like going all the way through it and like got you like committed to like it's the and I do know you love your retro stuff, so
it is. It's the NES DNA. It's exactly what it is. It just feels like one of those games to the point where like I was playing it and I was in the zone and it felt so good. And I was telling Tina like, I think this game is like bringing back my like retro NES game skills that have kind of gotten rusty a little bit.
Nice.
As I played more modern stuff. So I'm like, I've also been playing Micro Mages on my NES. And so,
nice. Are you playing that on the analog, the retro, or the mini NT?
Yep. Analog NT Mini. I've been playing it on
NT
that
Mini.
Guy.
I knew I said that backwards.
And I was having a good time with it and getting some progress. But like I immediately booted that while right after I was playing some Cyber Shadow, and I'm like, oh yep, my hypothesis is right. Like I got
the touch.
It just carries over, right? Like you're just into the zone and like hitting jumps, just bam, bam, bam. And it just feels so good. The other thing I wanted to bring up, the couple other things I wanted to bring up about Cyber Shadow, the soundtrack is really good, and it's by Jake Kaufman again.
Who is it?
Jake Kaufman, who made the Shovel Knight soundtracks.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, nice. Because that's what's cool is I know that this game was like originally like a solo dev. This Mechanical Head is like one person, and they were working, and like I believe Yacht Club, it just caught their eye, and they were like, "Hey, we love your project, and like we'd love to help you with it." And I believe maybe that's the case. Like, hey, maybe do you need some help with the music? Do you need some help with like pixel art or like working on the environment? So even though it was like conceived and like really headed up by this one guy. Yacht Club kind of stepped in to like help him realize it like more fully than probably he would have been able to on his own.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that's so cool. I didn't mean to cut you off there, though.
No, you're good. No, so the soundtrack is awesome because Jake Kaufman makes awesome soundtracks.
Agreed.
But then also, so I'm playing this on Game Pass, and that's the way you're playing it too, Kevin.
Same. Yep.
I have this Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription. Which also includes this beta Xbox cloud gaming service. So you can basically boot specific Game Pass games on your phone or Android tablet. So I've got a Pixel phone. I'm like, let me try this out. Because I already had the Game Pass app on there for like, because it'll let me remote install games and that sort of stuff. Why not?
Yeah, or just see what's coming soon and whatever. Yeah,
totally. And whatever screenshots and captures I had. But yeah, this was also available in that, and Cyber Shadow was one of those games. So I'm like, shoot, let me pull out one of my 8-bit DOE controllers. I plugged it in USB into my Pixel phone, and it worked great. Like,
heck yeah.
Even though it was a streaming experience, I'm like, man, this is, and obviously this is a very like input intensive game. Like you can't make a lot of mistakes.
Like we were saying, I mean, you're turning around and swiping that sword on a fucking dime. So you got to be very precise.
Yeah. I was impressed. It played really well. Like I got to like the next checkpoint in the level I was playing on my phone with this controller streaming. Like, so I'm like, wow, that's cool. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of a fun little aspect of that too. So fun to play a couple different ways that way. This game, the aesthetic of it, not to keep rambling about it, but it reminds me of RoboCop 3, which my dad bought me when I was way too young as a kid on NES.
the film? Oh, okay, I was going to say the film or the game?
Yeah, you just no,
either way, you're too young.
I don't think you could get away with that. No, he bought me the NES game. But the aesthetics, like the blue and gray hues that you see quite often in this game, just like RoboCop 3 on NES to a T. And I don't know if they like, obviously there's some Ninja Gaiden homages in here too. That's definitely the direct inspiration, but it seems like they're pulling from NES in general. And man, it gave me some RoboCop 3 visual vibes a little bit too with some of the color palette stuff.
Well, I might have to check out RoboCop 3 then.
It's not that great of a game. It's just a game
more of a visual feast.
Yeah, yeah, kind of.
Maybe not a feast, but okay. It just triggered the memory.
Yes. There's some cool things they do with the NES. I'll say that much because it was a later NES game, like '92.
Gotcha.
But DJ, I really think you should play this game. I think this is a DJ game, difficulty-wise, and I'd be curious to see how you do with it.
How much time have you invested?
Boy, probably 6 or 7 hours, I would say.
Okay, and you think what percentage of the way there? You said you think you got like all the upgrades and whatever.
I've got all the upgrades. I'm probably like 60-70% of the way through, although that's not like 100%ing the previous levels. Like I could still go back and get secrets and other things too, and there's a cool story in this game for what it's worth. But this, like, it screamed to me as a DJ game. Like, you're somebody that beat Silver Surfer. I want to see you play Cyber Shadow.
Okay, I mean, hard difficulty and Jake Kaufman, I think, is all you have to say. So
I mean, it's up your alley stylistically. Yes. I always hesitate to call anything hard around DJ, and I know we're going to talk about another game later, DJ. So I'm even reluctant to talk about that one with you because I'm getting my ass kicked by that game too.
I wonder if. I don't know. I feel like I'm more like the average. I think we just play different games, man.
Well, it's different games and different styles. Like you have a commitment. Like I'm just like, okay. Like even with Cyber Shadow, like I was like played for. Okay, I'm not in the mindset where like you're always in the mindset to like, oh, this game. Oh, you're gonna make me like you just want to beat that level. Like you can get in that mindset at any time.
I can't walk away from a game. Is the thing.
Exactly, and I have to be like I have to be in that mindset. I can't like force myself to be. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Fair.
I know I'm kind of rambling.
That will make you successful in Cyber Shadow, DJ, because that's the mentality I've been in with this game. It's just caught me like that, where I just keep like running up against it, even though I die. Like I just keep trying because I'm just enjoying it so much.
Yeah, so, I mean, it sounds like you're having a blast while...
I love it.
Yeah, and I'm having a blast too. Like I'm probably about an hour and a half in, I would guess, but...
Okay, fine, I'll do it.
Really having a good time.
Yeah, the challenge is on.
Yeah, and come on, Yacht Club, we got to support them.
Yeah,
after how much they supported the Shovel Knight series or whatever.
I absolutely love that series. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and originally, I mean, it could have just been one game. I would have happily bought all those games individually for $10 or $15 or whatever they charged me for them, and instead got the treasure trove and got them all for one price.
What a beautiful deal.
And I did hold off on getting rid of my Wii U because that's where I initially bought Shovel Knight.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. We talked about King Knight. Yeah,
that's great.
All right, I'm cheap. I'll throw him some dough.
Nice.
And yeah, Randall, we'll definitely have to talk some more Micro Mages too, because I know that was another game that was included. We're always talking about it's been almost a year since that Itch.io bundle for racial justice and equality came out that we all snagged, but that was another one that was included in there from Morph Cat, and you and I just talked about Bubble or Bobble, or whatever the other day. So we definitely have to talk some more Micro Mages soon.
We definitely will, because I have the cartridge and I love that game. So yeah, still playing that too.
Nice. I didn't know they had that in cartridge form, because I know we were talking about how Bubble did not have that, unfortunately, but maybe in the future.
That would be sweet.
Well, yeah, before we get into our conversation, DJ, I wanted to just mention a couple quick games that I picked up recently on Switch. And in the past, I know we've talked about the games from Matt Glanville, and I think I even mentioned this game briefly, Singled Out. That, like, I think because one of our episodes is called "What is this? Guess Who?" that I think Randall was saying as I was describing this game, which is a great way to put it. It's like an arcade. And I bought this on sale. It's only $5 normal price. I think I got it on sale for half off, but we've talked about Switch and Shoot and Ghost Grab 3000 as well from Matt Glanville, which are both like really good, like pick up and play arcade games. And this is no different. Again, you got to be into like chasing high scores and going for, it does have online leaderboards. So it's not just like chasing your own high score.
That's cool.
And all of his games do on the Switch, all those games that I just mentioned. But this one is like, you basically have 3 facts on the side of the screen, the left side of the screen, that'll show like what type of eyes this character has, or what type of ears they have, what type of mouth, what shape their head is. So there's more than 3 categories, but it'll show like, it never brings color, but it'll be like, what hat are they wearing? Like just many different things. And like, starts out with just 3 people and you're trying to shoot. You basically have this cursor that you're controlling like wild gun style, like a gallery shooter. And you're just trying to snipe the intergalactic or the supergalactic space criminal or whatever.
That's great.
And if you shoot an innocent bystander, you lose immediately. So like as you progress on, I think I made it as far as like level, like every time you hit one, it just moves on to the next stage.
Yeah.
And it just starts going faster and faster. And then the quicker you fire the shot, and if you're able to hit the right criminal, and there's always only one criminal, then like there's like a score at the top that keeps ticking down, and if you run out of time, that you're game over as well, same as if you shoot an innocent bystander. But like the quicker you can shoot the criminal, like you can see that score ticking down on each level, so the sooner you can shoot, the more points you get.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's just really fun, like frantic action, like. Yeah, because like the faster it gets, like it's almost like WarioWare style, You're like kind of playing. Other than it's not like switching the game up all the time,
but it's
like
it's frantic.
like that frantic, even from the first go. And it's like, I mean, I guess once you play a few runs, it's not that hard. You're never really going to shoot the wrong person on the first one. But like, they have there's maybe like 5 or 6. Like I think it says something like there's millions of different combinations, because there's like, 5 or 6 or 7 different head shapes, and 5 or 6 or 7 different noses and eyes and ears and hats. And like, so any combination of those together, and when you have like 10 or 12 on the screen at once, it just gets really frantic. Like I can't tell you how many times I was like, oh no. And then I was like, oh wait, I got the right one. Like it was just constantly like, and then, the addition of having leaderboards and stuff, I'm just like, once again, I love this guy's games, and it's got the great, like, big, fat, chunky pixels and big, fat, chunky chiptunes, and, like, chiptunes with a little more to it. Like, there's some guitar riffing going on and stuff, and it's just really cool. Just another awesome game. So I just wanted to give a shout out, since we've, like, briefly mentioned that game on the podcast, and I got to spend a little more time with it. Because it was originally conceived for that Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam in 2019. So it's cool to see, like, those games get fleshed out and turned into, like, a retail game.
Very cool.
But I also wanted to just briefly mention another new game, Project Starship X, because I have talked about Null Drifter and Harvest Doom from this developer on the podcast before, Panda Indie Studios. And I'm just a huge fan. And like Project Starship X is another developer that all their games are like $5. This is their first game that's like a little more fully fleshed out roguelike experience. It's $10, but again, $10 is nothing, and it was $8 on release on Switch. It's been out for a while on PC, but it just came out on consoles, I think, or at least on Switch, where I grabbed it. And I had a little, other than having a little bit of slowdown issues with it, it's like a really fun, it has a lot of those same Null Drifter mechanics, where you have like this, you basically just have a shoot button where, like, if you're firing, you slow down like a lot of shmups do. If you're holding down the fire button, your ship moves a little slower. But you have a great like hitbox that you can see, and then you have a dash mechanic that when you're close enough to certain enemies, you can actually dash and like attack them and like melee attack them.
That's cool.
And then some enemies you have to actually like do enough damage to them before you can melee them. But then there'll be like lasers that you can kind of dash or like kind of dodge roll through, essentially.
Nice.
But then there'll be like chains of enemies that you have to like, okay, I clearly have to like zigzag through these lasers, but also have to like chain through these enemies at the right time. But sometimes they're like, you got to make sure that you don't dash, because you might dash like into some spikes.
Right.
So you got to make sure you don't dash into the enemies. So it's just like, I don't know, it's really fun. It's like almost too over the top. They call it like a parody shmup. Like the first boss I fought was Zombie Hitler and his mechanical eyeball. He's just like Hitler in like a giant eyeball machine, and then you kill that, and then it turns into like a flying eyeball mech after that. It's a little bit bizarre, a little bit crazy, but yeah, there's like 4 different characters, a bunch of different weapons. I'm still unlocking new stuff. There's crazy like modes and stuff like that. So again, and this one has online leaderboards as well. So just I'm a big fan of bullet hell shmups, and this one definitely super crazy, super colorful. It's got more of like a 16-bit or even like 32-bit, but like not 32-bit, but it's like really retro, almost like comic book style. Like,
I like what they do with the sides of the screen too, with the information and like the faces and stuff. That's pretty cool.
It's really interactive. Like when you take damage, your character will kind of like make a face or something. They really make use of like it like essentially it's like a Tate mode vertical shmup, but they really make use of that real estate. It does, like, the game when it, like, as soon as you boot it up, it's like seizure warning, and they are not kidding around. Like, it is like very like neon flashing lights. Like, it's pretty crazy. But
good to know.
I would say a pretty strong recommendation from what I've only played a little bit, but based on like I really love all the other games I've checked out from this developer, so I expect to just keep enjoying this one even more and more.
Nice.
So. But DJ,
what?
We were going to talk about some Exit the Gungeon, which originally released quite a while ago, actually. Like, it was one of the launch titles on Apple Arcade. But then finally, I think about a year later, they put it out on Switch. And I picked it up kind of a while back, and I played a little bit of it, didn't get super sucked in. And I know, DJ, I think we've mentioned it a couple times on the podcast before, but like you and I with Enter the Gungeon were just like... And our buddy Glenn specifically, like the 3 of us, we were just playing, and like I put hundreds of hours into that game, and like I don't know, everything about it, I just got so sucked in. But I do know that part of the reason I got sucked in was because the 3 of us were, bouncing it off of each other. But anyways,
were feeding off each other's excitement and like
and like who beat it, or
and...
like have you unlocked these characters yet, or have you found this secret, or like there was just so much like added incentive to play that game. Because we were all hooked on it at the same time. So, like, I was kind of hoping for that same experience with Exit the Gungeon, and my first time playing it, that I booted it up a couple times and was kind of like, whatever, and didn't come back to it for a while. And then I fired it up maybe a couple weeks ago and was just kind of like, I'm kind of getting back into this game, like more than there was a new update, and they actually changed something pretty drastically from when I was playing it before. When the game first launched, you actually only got this random gun. That was the only weapon you could get. Like, you just, like, when you would use enough of its ammo, it would just switch to a new gun, and that was, like, your weapon for the whole game.
Oh, wow.
And the difference here is, like, this game is, like, it's still a twin-stick shooter, but it's a side-scrolling platformer, as opposed to a top-down shoot-'em-up. But otherwise, it's virtually the same controls, but they now have added the ability, like, you actually can just pick up new guns and, like, switch between guns and buy new guns at the shops.
Nice.
Like, they just didn't have that in the game before. You actually can switch that mode on and off. You can still go to I want to play the original mode of only the random gun, but otherwise, like, and in my opinion, that adds a lot to the game, being able to, like, that was one of the highlights of Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah, so that's a lot all more those like guns Enter the Gungeon.
And like building up your arsenal and like, this is the run, like I got all the good weapons, where before it was kind of like just totally random. But that said, I am still getting my ass handed to me in this game, like not even close to, like, I can maybe make it to the 3rd floor, and I don't know if there's 5 floors like there are in the original Enter the Gungeon.
Do you want me to tell you?
Well, I'm curious, DJ. I know you said when we were talking in the Discord, you were like, I'm going to beat it by this weekend, and I've seen you log in since then. So I don't know if you beat it by then, or did you make do on your promise?
Technically, I didn't, because it was after midnight. Hey,
if you were still awake on Sunday, I'll count it.
Okay,
that's funny.
Okay, then yeah, I made good on it.
Nice.
God damn. God damn.
And then,
well, yeah. Why don't you? And in general, just your thoughts. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I was a little like less excited to get started on this. I think because I knew we weren't going to be doing the same thing, like, oh, who's going to get there first and whatnot. I had my expectations down a little bit, but
and I think I had even mentioned before, like, my initial experience was kind of like, it's not as good. Like, I just didn't get sucked into it, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, to me, it's like, I think they did it different in, like, the appropriate way. Like, to me, it still feels like Gungeon. It's just like...
I agree.
It's just the gameplay is different enough to me where it feels, like, fresh. Like, I don't feel like I'm playing... feel like I'm playing Enter the Gungeon 2. Like, I do feel like I'm...
I agree with that 100%, yeah.
That's nice.
Especially because, like, what I think I love most about this is that... so each Gungeoneer is, like, trying to ascend the elevators to get out of the Gungeon, but they each will have their own unique path that they'll go through, and each path has, like, you know, different gimmicks. Like, there'll be some where you've got, like, buttons on the bottom that will, you know, shift your like where your elevator is, like, in terms of left, right, and there will be, like, mines you have to dodge. Like, you have to make the elevator be dodging while you're also trying to clear the place of enemies. Like, I think they did a lot of, I don't know, they made it more than just, like, clear this screen of enemies. Like, I think they did a good job of incorporating new mechanics and, like, okay, so I'll say right now, I beat it with every character.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
How many characters are there?
7.
I know there's 4 starting characters,
7.
and I'm guessing there's 7?
There's 7 characters.
Oh my God. I was going to say there's 4 starting characters, and I know at the very least they have, like, they show one of the unlockable characters on, like, the screen, like the thumbnail for the game.
It's the 7 from the first game.
I thought there were only 6 in the first game.
Except the co-op person, the cultist.
Oh, I forgot about that character. You can totally forgot
you can
about
be the cultist now. Just just one off. So
that's cool.
So it was.
So that's kind of interesting. So because every character kind of had their own ending in Enter the Gungeon, like. But it was otherwise like a randomly generated dungeon that everybody went through. But yeah, it is like every character kind of has their own. Yeah,
they've got their own, like, gameplay route, but same ending. Like,
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
that's kind of cool because the game is kind of the opposite of Enter the Gungeon. Like, in theory, like you're trying to exit it. So
yeah, and
that's kind of cool.
It just made it way easier for me to, like, dive back in and, like, okay, now I'm going to do it with this person. Whereas, like, when we were playing Enter the Gungeon, it was just it felt more like oh, I've already done this, let me just check this off. Whereas, like, this is a whole new, like, set of challenges. So I don't know, like, I was still, like, plenty engaged and excited to keep going. So
nice.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was a little bit surprised at the, like, lack of, I don't know, secrets, I guess. Or, I mean, you remember, like, how, like, deep we got into Enter the Gungeon, where it's like, oh, like, there's this secret level if you, like, you know, roll the water barrel into the fireplace and
like down. it was stuff like you really felt like you had to, like, poke and prod at that game, like unless you looked it up, but, like, you really felt like you could poke and prod at that game and then eventually find a secret by trying something like I wonder if if I can roll this barrel into that fireplace and, you know, and then, now I can go into the fireplace. Like, there doesn't seem to be as much like that.
Yeah. There's, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler. There's, like, one, like, kind of extra secret thing, but it's not really that secret. It's actually.
Are you talking about the rat?
No.
Okay. So I was going to say that's kind of, like, right in your face. Like, hey, but just like it is in the first game.
Yeah. Dude, playing this actually ticked me off because it made me remember that I didn't technically beat the DLC of Enter the Gungeon.
I never actually even played that, I don't think.
I got to the rat fight, and he's like a 3-stager. And like the last one is basically you're playing Punch Out against him. So,
Oh, I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, that game is brutal.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like I on the one hand, I was kind of like I appreciated how straightforward it was without having to get into all the secrets. But at the same time, it was like I feel like I got a lot less mileage out of this game just in terms of like time spent.
Yeah, and even just like I guess for me, like my main gripes were like, again, this was like on Apple Arcade, and it does like apparently you can play it with touchscreen controls, which I have no idea how that works, but like this game is so frantic. Like like I said, I think it's even harder than Enter the Gungeon, because you are having to like you can jump and then you can also do a dodge roll, and you can. Your jump is considered a vertical dodge roll,
and
so like, but you can also do a dodge roll midair. Yeah. So like you're invulnerable like anytime you're doing either a jump or a dodge roll, and then they do have a lot of great customization options as far as like you can like change the controls up to like do you want it to like drop through platforms by just pressing down on the D-pad? Do you want to like if you hold down, do you want to drop through every platform? Do you want to have to hit jump and down to drop through a platform? Like they have some really great like customization options. Like you can use the jump button to also do a dodge roll if you're in midair, so you don't have to be like juggling the two buttons. So that like there's definitely some really great customization options, but the interface is like really like it feels very much like a mobile game. Like when you pause, like the two aesthetics between like the pause screen and the game, like it's not all pixel art. It's like this like weird, like really clean, like mobile game aesthetic kind of. And like some of that stuff kind of rubbed me the wrong way and just aesthetically, but it just takes away from that immersion a little bit. Yeah. Like that was something I thought was so cool in Enter the Gungeon, like going through like the Ammonomicron or whatever it's called, and like seeing all the like just everything fit the aesthetic, you know, where like this was just kind of like it. I don't know. It just takes me out of it a little bit.
It does feel a little different. That's fair. Like,
and it's a little clunkier. Like you pick up items that it feels like you can use, but like when I pick up the med kit, it says like use this item to heal, but like to the best of my I don't see how you can use an item. They're all passive abilities.
Yeah.
So how does a med kit how can you use a med kit to heal if you just can't use it?
You just pick it up, and if you'll get full health once you pick it up, and that's it.
But then it stays like in your inventory. So I guess that's just like that's like another layer of the game that's
just keeping track of all the stuff you've picked up. I mean, that's not like because that's also like if you get like a health upgrade or whatever. Like it's not something you use; it's just there. I know what you're saying. Like,
well, there are no usable items in this game, which is sort of a little bit of a bummer.
Except the blanks. Well, yeah, but that's not really a usable item. Yeah. It's I don't know. Like I don't want to complain too much because I do think like the updates that they made since I played before are huge improvements. Like I definitely like. You know, the reason we decided to talk about it is because I was like, I'm into this game now, where before I was definitely like, I don't know if I'm going to dig into this one, where I don't think I'm going to beat it because I just don't think I'm good enough. It is, I think it's just really fucking hard. And it's like, it's weird because there's less enemies on the screen at any given point, but you've got less real estate.
Yeah. Less real estate. Oof. And then you have gravity also to contend with. Oof. So that combination, I think, just makes that game super, super tough for me, at least.
Yeah. The final fight for me, like, I don't know, it's just there was just a lot on screen. I felt because there was just such little room, I felt very helpless. Like, I felt like I had to be stacked if I was doing this fight. Like, there were times in Enter the Gungeon where I was able to like manage to get by with like a hitless run on the dragon, but like I don't think that would be even close to possible on this.
Jeez.
Like, you just gotta be stacked. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like I need at least like 5 hearts going into this.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah,
but I definitely dig it overall, and I'm glad that they have like updated it and maybe are planning on continuing to update it, but
I hope so. I mean, I did really like what I played. Again, it was just I felt like I beat it so quick, you know.
And you beat it with all 7 characters?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's just my like unlocking the characters. Did you have to do anything like kind of secret to unlock those, or no? It's just like there was one thing I did. I don't know if it unlocked anyone or it was just coincidental that I then got someone, but it's nothing tricky unless I just happened to do some shit I didn't even realize I was doing. Yeah. Yeah. Because, I think, like, Enter the Gungeon, again, just had, like, a little more of that, like, mysterious vibe to it. And maybe they were just thinking, like, hey, this is intended to be an Apple Arcade game, initially, at least. Like,
right.
I guess my first impression when I played it back when I first booted it up before this update, I kind of thought, like, this feels a little rushed. And then, like, the more I played when I booted it up this time, I kind of lost that feeling about the game and just felt like, yeah, I've got my gripes about it, but I like it. Whereas before I'd felt like, I don't know if this feels right, you know?
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's like a really fun game. And again, if Enter the Gungeon, if you've exhausted that experience, I definitely think this is like a worthwhile successor to that game.
Oh, for sure. And actually, Mike,
I feel like I've been overly negative.
Nah, you've been fair. But yeah, I think I might go back just because I never actually checked out that mode that they added. Like, I just kept it on the random gun mode. And
really?
Yeah. And you know, like, I think because you have the power to decide what guns you're unlocking, like, I think that you can make it so that the randomness doesn't really work against you. It's like you've kind of loaded your arsenal of like what could pop up with a lot of good stuff at that point. Where
you haven't unlocked everything then?
No, not even.
Okay, so you'll even like purposely not unlock stuff.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like, well, this entire shop isn't going to restock until everything's cleared, so it's like, fuck, I'll do it. But I'll have my things that I prioritize for sure.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, the mode isn't any different. Like, the game is the same. It just does allow you to have like an arsenal like you do in Enter the Gungeon, and you can swap between and like go into slow-mo and like, you know, flip between your weapons. But they drop pretty sparingly. It's like, for the most part, the last runs I played today, I didn't like see any drops. I had to buy them in the shops if I wanted to get any items. So they're not like just dropping them left and right. You do still have to rely on that you know, your random weapon. I forget what it's called. It's some kind of magical gun or whatever.
Yeah. I also gotta try to kill the shopkeeper. I'm assuming you can try to do that again in this one.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I don't know if you can shoot in that room, but
maybe not. It's kind of come up because at sometimes I've gotten the gun boots, and so like just coincidentally jumping in that room. Bullets would go by him and like a box would pop up and be like, oh, didn't learn your lesson from last time, did you?
Okay. Like, yeah, maybe there's some kind of secret way to take him out.
We'll see.
That's nice. Great. Well, yeah, I definitely need, I mean, now that you've beaten it with all 7 characters, I got to at least try to beat it with 1. Because like I felt like we were pretty, you know, neck and neck when it came to Enter the Gungeon as far as our progress. I mean, eventually you overtook me,
but you were the one who killed the Lich first. So
I know I was gonna bring that up. But then I thought better of it. But
I can't let go of it. It's okay. I'll just have to beat fucking Cyber Force, whatever. Cyber Shadow.
Cyber Force, whatever.
Cyber Shadow, whatever. Our new favorite game.
Cyber Shadow's awesome.
Yeah.
Challenge is on.
Yeah, I'll beat Cyber Shadow.
But I think we can pretty much wrap things up there this week, guys. And as always, you can find us on the internet. We've got our nice, clean link tree these days, but you can also find us at pursuingpixels.com. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram, just /pursuingpixels. YouTube and Twitch as well. Twitch, not so much recently, but once in a while. I'll try to get back on that a little bit more frequently. But otherwise, yeah, we will catch you next week. And until then, take care.
Bye-bye.
See ya. I want everyone to be my friend. But I'm only halfway there.
Fable style.
Yeah.
Meet me at the tavern in Bowerstown.
Yeah, I guess it's like that. I've never played Fable, but yeah, that's a good.
I'd play Fable someday. I'd try it out.
Have you never played it? I actually beat the first one.
No, I never played any of them for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I beat the first one. I think
was obsessed with the second one, so I saw a little bit of that. But that's all I've done is because that's an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah,
I think Xbox original exclusive, I believe.
Yeah, although I'm sure you can get it on Game Pass or whatever. I think it is on
PC
Game Pass
at this point too.
I was gonna say it might be on PC, but it's not on any other consoles or anything.
So. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah, Peter Molyneux, good old Peter Molyneux.
Peter Molyneux, he sold us the world.
Oh yeah, what trouble
the
did he get in?
overpromising? Yeah, whatever happened to Milo? Remember that? Like,
oh my god,
it was like
I
that
haven't
VR
thought about Milo
thing.
in years.
I can't. Was that even VR or was that just a interactive?
It was
thing?
Kinect. It was like
that's right. That's right.
They were like it was one of the tech demos for Kinect, and I'm not. I can't remember if it was the first Kinect or the one that they brought up for Xbox One. I can't remember which one it was.
I feel like it was the 360 one, but
they were pushing that hard.
Yeah,
like, Milo will talk to you, and you'll see him grow up, and it was basically taking those Fable principles and applying it to this tech demo with Kinect.
Yeah, and it was basically just like a AI, like kid that you could talk to.
Yep, I think that was.
Did you do your homework today? Yeah, just seemed kind of silly, but yeah, I guess it was kind of cool though, or like impressive.
Yeah,
on the technical end, but
people were talking about it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Whenever that was.
Good old Milo.